Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Mythic Carol, who is going to be the next promo coming to the game and the 5th character from the Atlanta Allegiance group. She is going to be the last character required to run the Atlanta Mythic Trials roadmap, and that'll be able to get your hands on Mythic Lori. I have done a preview of Mythic Lori herself. This is the first edition Lori, but she will come back again just with very different visuals. We'll look at the visuals of Carol, however, and you can see she's kind of like pirate-esque. She has got a bunch of weapons going on. She's got a default pistol, as we can see, so we'll check that out a little bit later. But you can see she's got like a, I guess that's going to be some sort of long blade on her back. You can see it sheathed on her back, and you can see a little dagger in her other hand. I kind of like the pistol dagger combo. We don't see that too often, honestly. She's got a leather jacket on and a dress. She's such a weird get up. I know Carol was quite a strange character from the comic. She was a little bit loose in the head. I think a lot of people would say she's just a bit crazy. When we look at her on the left hand side as a tier 5 gold mythic at level 600. She does have 13,983 attack, 12,338 defense, and 14,805 HP. She is an alert character. She's considered a support character. She is a mythic character, of course, and like I said, she is part of the Atlanta Allegiance group, just rounding off those 5 characters required for the Mythic Trials. Now, we'll check out her Adrenaline Rush, and it is called Linking Bullets. 66 AP cost rush, deals 650 damage to a single enemy. All alert teammates get 30% attack up for 2 turns. So I kind of like this. This is quite good. A very heavy single target rush, and she's going to buff other alert characters. And there are some very heavy hitting alert characters in the game. You've got the likes of Sandy and Lori now as well. If you are buffing those characters first and then they're going afterwards, this is going to make up for the lack of like strong attacks weapons within alert characters. So this is kind of like a very nice buff, honestly, in my opinion. And Sandy is just nuts anyway. Lori is going to be crazy. You can see that first turn signature move. So Carol's just going to give them a nice little boost. We'll just obviously test this out and see how it works. Okay, so we have got an early rush on Carol. This is turn 2, and obviously this is going to line up with certain characters' signature moves, like Sandy, for instance. If you've got a turn 2 rush with a Glenn in the team, you can just get the rush off. You're going to do the damage, and then you're going to see that 30% attack buff go to alert characters. You can see Lori in the top left-hand corner now has a 30% attack buff. That just means like things like her signature move are going to be amplified because of this. Now, Lori has got a turn 1 signature move, so you might want to save it to turn 2 if you do figure that you're going to get Carol her rush early on. I mean, obviously, how you do this is up to you, but it's going to enhance basic attacks, rushes, and any signature moves used. And I kind of like the rush. It does a lot of damage for a character that is considered a support character, and you don't normally get that, so you can see it as like being a nice little bonus. The support in there is obvious. The 30% attack boost is the obvious support part of that rush, but the attack is nice, 650% to one enemy, and you might have noticed something already with the specialist skill and how that's going to work. We'll get into that in a bit, but there is definitely amplification you can get going there. You can go whatever way you want if you get Lori and Carol in the same team, because obviously Lori, when she takes down someone, can do defense down, and you can do a big rush on one of those characters with Carol, or you can do it the other way around where Carol's going to buff Lori. You get the choice there if you have those 2 characters. And then Sandy, like I said, in the mix can pretty much work with either of them. So the alert offensive characters are seemingly getting quite a nice boost here. If we look at the skill upgrades, we can see that at tier 2, she'll get a 15% attack up boost. So originally it will be 15% attack up for 2 turns to those alert characters, but you're going to get them to tier 2. If you're going to have Carol, you're going to get her to tier 2 when you use her. And at tier 4, you will get an extra 200% damage, so originally it will be 450%. You don't have to use any military supplies here, so big bonus. As long as you get her to tier 4, which will require 14 silver mythics, you will obviously just have her fully geared out when it comes to how powerful her rush can be off of the initial tier 5. Now, Carol herself does, of course, have a signature move, and it is another turn 1 cooldown. It is called Calming Fire. It has initial cooldown of turn 1, cooldown of 3 turns, number of uses unlimited, attack an enemy for 250% damage, up to 2 teammates recover from impair. So This is kind of interesting, like a first turn impair recover. I figure that could be good on a defense team or an attack team. On an attack team, it's just kind of a bonus. You might not want to use this turn 1. You might want to save this till turn 2, you know, just in case you do get impaired off of turn 1. If you get a lot of AP gain and they've got someone who does neutralize on the defense team, or if there's like this, I don't think there is anyone whose turn 1 signature moves can impair, but I know there are turn 2. So, I mean, she could be one to sort of counter things that come out in the future when it comes to the turn 2 signature move. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to be able to cleanse a couple of characters. It's always going to cleanse characters that have impair. On a defense team, it will always happen turn 1. She'll always do it for the damage, and the impair will be the bonus. Because unless it's just a pure impair cleanse, then it will never do it because of that thing. It will always do it because of the thing that's guaranteed, which is the attack. That's why when things are like, if it was like taunt one enemy and revive a teammate, you remember those ones where it would still do the taunt even if there was no one to be revived. So that was kind of frustrating. I wouldn't say it's necessarily frustrating in this case. It's just the way it is on the defense team. Now, obviously, on an attack team, you can decide when you want to do this signature move. You can do it early on if you just want to use it for the damage, or you can wait till late turn 2 even to see if anyone gets impaired. You will need to use it in those first 2 turns though, because you will require the AP to get your rush. You will need a little bit extra AP, you know, 66, you need that extra. But for instance, Alice here has an impair on defense weapon. I can rush with Lori, and you can see Lori just got impaired, and I'm in trouble now. I'm in trouble. Lori's gonna be obviously impaired for the next 3 turns, and she's going to not gain any AP. I could just rely purely on her signature move, but all I'd have to do is just do a signature move of my own on Carol, on someone who would, for instance, not be able to impair me or control me. Even if it's an absolute defense weapon, it would work. I can do it here on Glenn, and it completely cleanses Lori in the top left-hand corner, as you can see. That's how it works. It's as simple as that. You did see it actually did a reasonable amount of damage in itself as well, because it can crit. So it can obviously utilize on attack effects on weapons, things like splash damage or anything like that. And if you did have a bunch of alert characters in the same team, stacking up splash damage isn't necessarily a bad idea. You can do a lot of damage that way, just in excess, and you're going to be getting off on those first 2 turns. You're going to have quite a lot of signature moves going off, because if you have Lori and Carol, it's turn 1 potential, and then Sandy turn 2. So there's a lot of damage going to go the way of your team in those early stages. If we look at the upgrades on this in terms of the skills, we have got -1 starting cooldown at tier 3, 50% bonus damage at tier 4. This will require the 20 upgrades with the military supplies, and then tier 5 you get the free 50% damage, but you do need that second gold mythic Carol to be able to actually unlock this. Now, I do mainly see this as the cleanse rather than the damage, although the damage can be quite nice. The cleanse is something we don't really see at the moment, and this is what Carol is pretty much bringing to the table. She's going to be that nice character that, you know, if you're coming up against a windowless team, you could effectively see 2 characters being impaired on tough characters is still windowless to you to a certain extent. Unless they have the elusive impair weapons, that's where it can get a little bit interesting. Although, obviously, you can still attack an elusive character with a signature move and gain AP, you would still potentially be impaired by an elusive impair while you do that. So, if 2 characters, for instance, out of the first 4 attacks, all piled in on a tough character, 2 got impaired, you could just follow up with Carol and those would both be cleansed. Big bonus. Now, Carol, of course, will have some mythic abilities. These are her passives. She has got Cunning. When attacking or being attacked, 15% less likely to trigger enemy weapon effects and walker effects. This is because she's a support character. It basically means she's got less chance of proccing things like stun on defense, or even if she is on a defense team, she's got less chance of things like double attack proccing when you attack her. It isn't a great percentage, but I actually kind of think Cunning's not too bad. Keen Awareness, all alert teammates get 20% bonus trait damage. This is again further amplifying the damage that alert characters are going to do. Again, Sandy, Lori, and Carol herself. This includes the actual trait damage they normally do off their base, which would be versus strong, and it should include the combat mods that you put on the character. So for instance, if you put versus tough or versus fast on the combat mods, it should enhance those by 20% as well. And also the weapon bonuses that you get when the damage that you do from like always attacking with trait damage should always boost that, because I'm pretty sure it's going to work exactly the same as Rick's lead skill, which does boost everything when it comes to trait damage. And the wording here just seems exactly the same. Mindfulness, when attacking, 40% chance to recover from taunt and impair. This is nice, of course. This does mean that she could just recover taunt when she's caught in a taunt loop against like Connor, for instance. That could be kind of cool. Now the last one is called Life Insurance. When taking down a target, 80% chance for all teammates to recover from a single penalty. Again, this is just playing into her quite cleansy kit from what we're seeing so far. But that is very powerful. And there are characters out there that have control on their passives right now. And that means you can't disarm them. So they're much more likely to go off. And Carol is going to be very useful in those situations. Now, she will be required to take someone out for this to actually work. But at least you've got an option there. So we'll attack the same team again, and as you saw probably before, we have got Razzo in the top right hand corner. I'm going to attack him with a couple of characters, and Razzo has a passive that can stun people, as you can see. I just got stunned. I might get another stun. No, we're just going to have one stun, and it is Lori. Now, if I have a very low HP or a weak character or my rush up on Carol, I can take someone out. Fortunately, this defense team has a very, very weak version of Dexter here, so I can take him out, and you should see like a sort of mist animation over Lori if it does work. 80% chance for it to happen, and as you saw, the animation happened. She is no longer stunned, and she is free to attack this next turn, which is obviously great, especially, you know, if you have her in the right teams. Got Glenna, for instance, hit a crit, can just get up her rush and blow up the defense team. So I do like her passives as a support character. They're pretty much buffing or helping a lot of on her teammates. There is one that works towards herself. Mindfulness is mainly for herself, outside of the obvious one, which would be Cunning because of her support character role. But Life Insurance and Keen Awareness are going to be great for other teammates. The only hard bit is you are going to actually have to be able to take someone out with Carol to get that Life Insurance to actually work properly. The 650% rush is extremely heavy hitting. That does mean you've got a great chance of that actually to take place. So that is nice. She has got a reasonably hard hitting signature move as well. And like I said before, if you have her comboed with the right characters, for instance, Lori and Mirabelle defense down, it just means you're going to be able to enhance her damage output. Now we'll look at the skill upgrades here, and you can see at tier 1 it's Keen Awareness, tier 2 Cunning, tier 3 Mindfulness, and tier 5 is that Life Insurance, where you will be required to get that second gold Mythic Carol. And in my opinion, that is probably the nicest one out of there. Maybe actually the trait damage is quite nice, the tier 1, just because it is guaranteed all the time going to happen for alert characters, but it is only alert characters, so you would have to build it in her in a specific team to just take advantage of that. But the Life Insurance would work on attack, on defense. On a defense team, again, like I say, if she does rush, offensive characters generally aren't going to be able to take a 650% hit. She's got a good chance of being able to cleanse something on the defense team, which is quite nice. We don't see heavy amounts of trauma in the game right now, but if trauma did make a comeback, that's the only downside, where any cleanse could potentially cause damage to the teammates. But we're probably not going to see like a heavy trauma character come out. It'll probably be single target or maybe line. I doubt it's going to be anything like full team trauma like we have seen in the past. Now Carol is a specialist, and you probably already saw this from the kit itself. It's quite a familiar specialist skill, but you might have already seen this from when I did the test on the rush, for instance, because it did take someone out and you saw the excess damage go across, and that's because it is waste not. When this specialist takes down an enemy with an attack or adrenaline rush, any excess damage is dealt to one adjacent target. This is going to improve her takedown potential, especially on weakened characters or like weak links on a defense team or debuffed characters. So again, that combination with Lori is going to be quite important, I think. But if you've got that weak link on a defense team, like I showed in the previous clip and I will show in another clip, basically she can take out someone with very low defense, and the transfer damage is huge, and it ignores the second character's defense. It only takes into account their HP stats. So for instance, if everyone on a defense team's got 40,000 HP and everybody on the defense team's also got 70,000 defense, except one character for some reason only has 5,000 defense, if you rush that 5,000 defense character, they're going to take massive damage compared to anybody else, and any excess damage will be just transferred to an adjacent and potentially take them out as well. Now, like I said, Waste Not is extremely powerful against a weak link on a defense team, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the weak link from the start of the fight. It can be a weak link further on. For instance, a character that you get down to very low HP, and let's say they only have 500 or 1,000 HP left, and you do 100,000 damage to them. That means they're going to transfer 99,000 damage to an adjacent character. If you do 100,000 to them when they're on 40,000 HP, they're only going to transfer 60,000. Now, doing 100,000 damage to a character is going to be quite difficult. I'm going to be able to do this in this situation because we have an extremely weak link on the defense team, and it is going to be Dexter. Now, we can amplify the damage further, like I talked about as well before. We could take down a character, for instance, this time around with Lori, and she is going to be able to do that. And you can see defense down now procs on every single defense team character. That's just going to further increase the damage I'm going to do onto Dexter, including the trait damage, as you can see. And the fact that he has low defense means I'm going to be able to do quite a lot of damage to him. Now, it will seem like I only do like 4,500 or 5,000 damage to him, but it will transfer the extra damage that I actually did to him to Maggie. So Maggie should take like maybe 100,000 damage. We'll see. 135,000 damage to Maggie, and that's just because of how it works. Now, the bigger the defense down, like if a single target defense down character comes out that does like minus 80% defense, we have had that in the past before, the combo with that character would be Mythic Carol. Nothing like that right now, but there is characters like Lori and Mirabelle, like I've been saying. Now, obviously, this will increase her takedown potential because she could potentially take out two characters with a rush or even with a signature move in the right circumstances, or even with a basic attack. It would have to be extremely good circumstances there, but there is potential. Now, it could work with her passives, you know, her mythic abilities, where it could have an 80% chance to proc on both of those, and it could maybe happen twice. I'll try to get that confirmed with Scopely and put that in my top comment. We'll see. We'll see if I can get the information back from Scopely. Just check my top comment for that information. Now, as I showed in the intro of the video, she does not have an attached weapon, and this basically means you are free to put whatever weapon you want in her hands, and this can be nice if you want to slot her into a defense team or into an attack team. I think she'll work in both. I think she is mainly offensive, mainly because of the actual stuff her support does is boosting the damage of alert characters, but those cleanses are nice, and I think we just don't have those too much. So having her on a defense team wouldn't be terrible. Is she built for defense? I don't think so, but I think she could be reasonably annoying, especially with the weapon potential she has. Stun on defense is always nice on alert characters. Now, you can see the visuals of her pistol in her hand. That does look sick. It has got like the gold plating on it and stuff, but you're not going to get that here. That might be a promo weapon that's upcoming, but you are, like I said, going to be able to put whatever weapon you want in her hands. So this was Mythic Carol, and she is the 5th Atlanta character to come out. We have got Rick, Glenn, Andrea, Dale, and now Carol. You will need all 5 of these characters at tier 5 to run the Mythic Trials for Atlanta, and if you do that, you'll be able to get Lori as a Mythic character. If you do it the first time that the Mythic Trials are live, you'll be getting the first edition version of Lori, which I did do a preview video of before, like I said, and you can go check that out. It should be in the outro credits if you want to see that video. But if you don't manage to do it the first time around, you have a chance to get her in the future as these characters become more available. You just won't get the nice shiny version that is being shown as the first edition. That's just something obviously to take note of. It may take a while for these characters to come around though, so if you do like the looks of Lori, now is the best time to get her. And now, of course, is the best time to get Carol as well, because she's going to be in the promo wheel. Do leave me your thoughts on Carol as a character in the comments down below, guys. Thank you very much for tuning into this video. Please hit like if you did enjoy it or find it informative. Thank you very much if you are already subscribed to my channel. It does make a big difference. But that is the end of this one, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.